Better Together podcast.
Welcome to the Better Together podcast from Fuquay-Varina Chamber of Commerce, where we are recording today from a Dashmore conference room and studio sponsored by Rescued Wood Rehab. The Better Together podcast highlights local businesses each week as the Fuquay-Varina Chamber of Commerce continues to promote an amazing business community. I am Tom Gavin with Fat Cat Homemade Ice Cream, and I'm joined today by my co-host Brad Marshall from Greater Culture Fitness here in Fuquay.
Tom, how you doing so far?
Man, I'm doing good. It's been a good week this week.
Been a good week. Getting ready for the summer.
Yes.
We're excited. We have a fantastic guest with us for today. We've got Kim Austin, owner of AOK Training Center. I love the way that rolls off the tongue, AOK, especially for your line of work. And so thanks so much for being a guest on the podcast today.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about this AOK Training Center where you get the chance to reside right here in the Chamber of Commerce building?
I know. I'm so excited to have the space here, and it's a great way to connect with the community. And so I spent like more than 20 years in emergency trauma, pediatric, and disaster response. I started out as an EMT and have worked all the way through paramedic, all the way through my nursing career. And so I saw the difference that education makes, not only in our healthcare facilities, but in our community. And everyday people need assistance. They need
Yeah.
to know how to respond. I love teaching. Everyone said, "Oh, you're going to be a nurse, you're not going to be a teacher." And I said, "Well, there's the thing. Nursing is mostly education.
Right.
So if you don't want to teach people, then you're probably not in the right career." So I'm thankful that I get to do both.
That's
That's awesome.
fantastic. I do agree. The more that you can educate people, make them feel confident when situations maybe arise or things happen, that is really important. So, what got you interested in this line of work of thinking about healthcare emergency response, but then the teaching aspect of it? What got you really intrigued about that?
I was working on my nurse practitioner for pediatric medicine, and then COVID happened. And there was just nowhere for me to do any clinical time or anything with pediatrics because everything was shut down, especially pediatrics. And so I wanted to finish school. And I had just a few hours left of clinical. So I looked and I said, well, I can do some education. I said, I'm already doing that. So I was at a facility that allowed me to stay and do my clinical hours. And 200 hours later, I came up with a project for them to orient their new nurses during the COVID pandemic. And I was able to finish my degree.
Wow. That's nice to piggyback on that, to get a chance to work on both of those at the same time. And so now getting into AOK, how long ago would you say you started AOK Training
So
Center?
I started in September of 2021, and it was just supposed to be a little extra side gig. I was coming home and I was like, I'm just going to teach a few classes here, a few classes there. And then 3 months later, it was, you need to change your tax designation because you are really moving
Yeah, you're
something
like,
here. And it kind of crept up on me and it hasn't stopped from there.
I feel
that's
like that's the journey a lot of small business owners would love of like, I started this business and all of a sudden it blew up.
right.
It's
It
going a
is.
lot
Yeah.
faster than I thought it would. And next thing you know, I got to change tax designation and all these other things, which is fantastic. But I do imagine that there probably was some challenges, and maybe part of it is the growing pains. But
It
when you first
was.
started, what were some of the challenges you faced?
So really, I wanted to bridge that gap between panic and preparedness in the students that I did, but I wore every hat, which was the challenge. Um, I was the teacher, the marketer, the scheduler, the accountant, customer service, everything during a time when things were still uncertain. And so it was building trust and visibility in the community, but also competing with major hospitals and
Mhm.
larger companies doing the same thing that I was. So I had to learn how to run my business while continuing to still serve in other healthcare roles.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can imagine how difficult that is. I think a lot of business owners can relate to that of wearing all the hats, especially when you're just getting going and figuring out how do I balance all of these different roles and responsibilities. And so I do imagine as you figured out the path and the journey forward, that there are some unique aspects that you kind of developed and been able to incorporate into your role and into AOK. So what are some of those unique aspects, would you say, about your business?
Well, we just don't teach just certification classes. So, yes, I initially started out doing healthcare, things that we healthcare workers needed for their jobs and were not available due to the pandemic as easy. And so, but I wanted to focus on creating realistic, engaging learning experiences to help people retain information and make them feel empowered. And I like to make things fun and entertaining because that's how I learn. And so we teach healthcare professionals, businesses, schools, community groups, grandparents, babysitters, just everyday citizens. So we're deeply committed to making emergency preparedness accessible to everyone.
That's so awesome. It really is, like, cool to hear how it all came about and how, like, you've gotten into the community and, like, just really put your face out there and, like, your brand, and it's amazing. So we've heard the origin story of AOK. What are some products and services that you guys offer to the consumers in the town that are looking for your services?
So we offer CPR, AED, and first aid training. We offer stop the bleed education, babysitting courses, how to be safe at home, whether you have a child who's staying home for the first time, to maybe starting to take care of some siblings, and anything to do with community preparedness.
Yeah.
If you're a new parent and want to learn how to, you know, do better with your infant,
Yeah.
anything that you feel that is concerning to you, let us help.
Okay.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, that's awesome. That really is awesome. So how does your business stand out from the competitors? You said the big hospitals and other larger corporations, stuff
Well,
like that.
we aren't just reading off the slides.
Yeah.
Um, we there are guidelines we have to read, everything from our certifying bodies, because again, I do everything from basic first aid through neonatal resuscitation. And so we just bring real world experiences from our emergency departments, our trauma centers, disaster response operations, and even pediatric care. And so our students consistently tell us that they appreciate our interactive approach,
Yeah.
our practical examples, and the hands on. I'm firm believer in that you have to put your hands on something that you have to. I don't want someone just to go through the motions.
Right.
I look for that aha moment. Do you understand? And we take our time. And if you need more time, I'm going to give it to you. If you need less time, you're going to stay the required amount of time and then you can go. And so
I
we
love that.
want you to feel prepared, not just certified.
Right.
And I think that's our biggest difference.
That's awesome. Yeah. We know right here, me and Brad, we see you got you all over the community, all different types of support. So what are some community initiatives or things that you have going on right now that you'd like to promote and talk
Really actively involved in our Chamber of Commerce. I also support the downtown Fuquay
association?
Yes, the Downtown Association. Wow. I am getting ready to be inducted as the president of the Downtown Fuquay-Varina Rotary
Oh, awesome.
Club. I am also part of the Women's Club in Fuquay-Varina. I am program manager for the Community Emergency Response Team.
Oh, wow.
And so I tend to be involved in a lot of things and committees that through those group. And I also just was honored to be selected as a Stop the Bleed ambassador, a national ambassador for
Oh,
the
wow.
coalition through December of 2027. So I'm really looking forward to taking all of those things and putting that education out into our community.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Really is.
that involvement makes a huge difference. Just getting to know people, getting an opportunity to let them see your face, and it's amazing how much you can grow some of those relationships to let them know, hey, here's what I do, and here's how we might be able to partner or help serve you and get some of that education out there. And so I imagine along the way, there's probably some lessons you've learned being in business out for about 5 years or so. So what are some of those lessons that you feel like you've learned over the last 5 years of being a business owner?
relationships matter. You said the word relationship, and I was like, he's using my word. Relationships matter. They do.
Yeah.
Getting out there and seeing your face, not being on billboard, like that one-on-one interaction,
Yeah.
showing up and, doing business with people people you trust, because that word of mouth is going to bring you new business.
Yeah.
I've also learned that growth rarely happens inside your comfort zone. So some of my biggest opportunities have come from saying yes before I even felt ready myself.
Yeah.
And so I've really put myself out there
Yeah.
in an area that wasn't the most comfortable, but has been very meaningful.
Yeah. And I can imagine as we think about, advice you might have for aspiring entrepreneurs, those might be some themes there. But I love that perspective that the ability to build relationships with people maybe open some doors that you didn't even know existed or weren't ready for,
Yeah.
but you have the opportunity to step through them and figure out what that looks like. And so as you think about aspiring entrepreneurs or folks who maybe are interested in starting a business or just getting things off the ground, what are some of the things that maybe you recommend for them to do?
I would say just start doing it, even if it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Uh, that's the best way to learn and evolve. Too many people just wait for the perfect website, the
Oh, yeah.
perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect logo, and just take that first step. It's messy. Life is messy.
Yeah.
I feel like everything's an emergency. And, sometimes I have to go back and tell myself, you are an emergency response provider. Triage is your thing. Triage your thoughts
Yeah.
and just go in and do the best that you can, the greatest good with what you have at the moment, and things will fall into place, or you will learn
Yeah.
what works, what doesn't. And you also need to find your community. Find those people, networking groups. I never believed it. Like, I'll talk to anyone, but I have found the value
Yeah.
in these community groups, networking, getting to know your other business owners. And you know what? That really accelerates your growth. Just getting boots on the ground.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. And I
Yeah.
love the integration of one, start doing the work, just begin it because you're going to learn, you're going to grow, you're going to figure things out. Find kind of your tribe or the people that might support you or guide you or help you along the way. And then from there, it's just a matter of continue to apply yourself, it sounds like. And I imagine that there's some upcoming goals or projects or things that you're excited about. So anything that you want to share in terms of as you look ahead to the future of things you're excited about or goals or projects?
I am really excited about really focusing on our community. And I've been able to restructure some things within my organization and add on some instructors and some assistants because I cannot do everything all the time as much as I think I can. And really getting out there and making those partnerships that I've worked for in use.
Yeah.
So you will see me at more events. I will be offering more community based classes. I have some fundraising and grant initiatives coming in so I can provide some programs to some
Nice.
underserved communities. And I'm just really excited about just being boots on the ground. And my hospital, my other courses, they're under control. I've been building that for 4 years and it's running well.
Yeah.
Now I'm ready to step into the next phase, which is right here in
Yeah.
our town, in our community. And that's what makes me happy. A little nervous because it does take money and it does take a good system. And I always say I'm going to give anyone the training they need and I'll figure out the finances
Right.
later.
Yeah, that's awesome. It really is. Just to hear like the whole story about it, everything that you're offering. So to get down to some of the nitty-gritty facts that our listeners want to hear about, right? What is your favorite spot besides your own in Fuquay?
Oh, wow. There are so many. This was the hardest question for me
Yeah, I know.
because
I
it's
agree
like
too.
I want to say Mineral Springs Park.
Okay. That's awesome.
Like that.
And it's because when I first came to Fuquay, I came on a travel contract to Wake Med to work in their pediatric emergency department. And the person who trained me, she is from Fuquay-Varina,
Oh, that's cool.
and her husband's best friend had a house for rent right there in the neighborhood, right behind Mineral Springs. And it
Oh,
was
cool.
around the corner from her. And I said, "Oh, I'm not going to be here but 3 months."
Yeah.
Well, I rented that house, and that was 2013,
Right.
and so even though I don't still live in that house because it was sold during COVID, I am still here.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
awesome.
this area. I've loved the people that I've met, and I've watched it grow. And even though I'm not a native here, I feel like I'm a native.
Yeah.
Everyone is so, so great here.
Let's see. What is the best business advice you have received in all your years of being around, like all your careers?
That people won't remember everything you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
And I've always taken that to heart. It applies to teaching, it applies to leadership, it applies to customer service, it
Yeah,
even applies to business ownership.
yeah, yeah. And then the last one here I got is there one surprising fact about your business that you have not shared? Now's the time.
Many people assume we only train healthcare professionals. But in reality, some of our most impactful classes are for our parents, our grandparents, our babysitters, our schools, churches, communities. I recently had an opportunity to partner with the Fuquay-Varina Police Department.
Oh, yeah.
They sponsored 2 babysitting courses and first aid, and the response was so overwhelming.
Yeah,
And to me, it was one of the most enjoyable things that I've done this year.
that's
And
awesome.
so these are people that simply just want to be prepared when someone needs help.
Yeah,
And so everyone is always like, oh, AOK training. They do CPR, they do healthcare stuff. But really, AOK, I had to come up with a name for my business in a split second. My Instagram handle, Adventures of Kimmy, had always been there. And I was like, oh, AOK. And then I was like, it'll be AOK.
yeah, that's
I love
awesome.
that. I love pulling the Instagram handle into the business, but then also realizing like there's kind of the double meaning there. Hey, it didn't be A-OK in the community involvement that you have of trying to help people just be prepared, be ready for any situation they might face is really powerful. So for folks out there who maybe are interested to connect with you, what would you say are some of the best ways for people to get in touch with you and your business?
Well, my new website will be launching this week, so you can always go to aoktraining.com. You can always give us a call, you can send us an email, and my phone number is 866. It is A-OK.
Wow, that's amazing that you made the
I know.
to match.
Look,
I
hey,
love
I'm
that.
determined.
Yeah.
You're messing with somebody who has goals and I want people to remember things.
Yeah.
Education is
No,
easy. I
that's
make up
awesome.
silly rhymes and dances and all sorts of things to remember skills.
Yeah.
And to remember the phone number, I had to do it for me so I could remember my phone number.
That's
I love it.
fantastic.
I love it. I know. I think about CPR. The song "Staying Alive" just pops in
Right.
like the rhythm and things
Well,
like that.
now
I'm sure,
we
sure you could educate me on a better rhythm than that one.
oh, well, I make people sing flowers.
Oh, yeah.
I can buy myself flowers. I can get myself a massage. We make up songs. Um, there's a whole slew of songs. I always say, if you're singing, you're breathing, and you can do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
That's
that.
awesome. Yep.
Helps give
Yeah.
people a little sense of calm
That's
and it's the chaotic
We do
situation.
have a Facebook page. We do have an Instagram, and you can also find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
all the different platforms, hard to miss and really easy to get in touch with for any of the needs you might have from individuals to business owners to healthcare professionals. And so you mentioned earlier how involved you've been with the chamber. And so from your perspective, what are some of the best pieces or parts about being involved with the Chamber of Commerce and specifically the one here in Fuquay-Varina?
Oh my goodness, just the ambassadors. I always call us the cheerleaders of the chamber. Um, Going to events, even if you can only make one, even if you can only stay for 10 minutes, come. It was very scary the first time I went,
Yeah.
but just talk to one person. And then the next time I went, that one person introduced me to another person. The value is you get what you put in. If
Yeah.
you show up, they're going to show up for you.
Good.
They're here. Utilize that resource, and you may end up making the best friends of your life and not just business associates.
I love that.
That
I
is.
think that ties in this idea and theme of how important relationships are, getting invested, getting involved, and the ability to do that can open up some doors for you, especially with the town and the community that perhaps can help your business to grow and flourish. And so, Kim, thanks so much for being a guest on the podcast today. It was great to hear you and hear a little bit more about AOK and your story and how you're continuing to make a huge difference in the lives of people here in Fuquay-Varina and beyond.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Emergencies don't wait for us to be ready. So my mission is really to help people gain the knowledge and confidence they need before that moment arrives. And I always say, let us take you from oh no to being A-OK.
I love that. That's a great tagline. And thank you to our listeners. Join us each week on the Better Together podcast from the Fuquay-Varina Chamber of Commerce as we highlight a great local business. From a Dashmore conference room and studio sponsored by Rescue Wood Rehab, I am Tom Gavin.
And I'm Brad.
And we are Better Together.
We're better together. It's a weekly podcast. We're better together. You should know that there's more in the dash. We're better together. Fuquay-Varina Chamber of Commerce. We're better together podcast.